All right, so House of the Dragon is back. So season 2, episode 1, spoilers going right on in. Make no mistake, I'm wearing green, but I'm definitely team black. And I wish I loved this episode. Like, I love Rhaenyra. I love elements of this episode. I have faith for this series, but I was very disappointed in this episode. Specifically Blood and Cheese. And I'm going to start with that. So spoilers for the end of episode 1. Do I hate it? And I hate it. Because it's different than what happened in the book. No, I hate it because it's worse than what happened in the book. Not worse as in more traumatic. It's far less traumatic. It's watered down to the point why they even do it. Or bother doing it the similar way. And I hate for implications going on. So, essentially, Blood and Cheese are these two characters who were completely incompetent, fumbling around the castle, and happened upon Queen Helena and her children. And essentially, it boils down to, in the TV show, there are two kids here. We know one's a boy and one's a girl. Tell us which one of these twins is the boy so we can kill that one. And in the book, it's not which one of these is the boy, it's choose which boy. So regardless, they are going to kill her son. She's not choosing which son is going to be killed. They're just asking her which one of these two sleeping kids is the boy. She offers her necklace, which I've seen some people talk online, be like, no, she was actually offering her own neck and throat, whatever, kill me instead. She could have said that, I'm just saying. But I just felt like stupid dialogue. Not so much her. I don't have an issue with Helena. She's definitely a different character in the book. It was far less outwardly screaming, emotional, begging, pleading. There was none of that. She was 100% dissociating, and it works for her character as a dreamer. We'll get more into that later. I don't hate her. I just hate how stupid that is. One's just like, well, check and see which one's the boy. No, the mother will know. We'll ask her. Oh, she pointed to one? Yeah, I think she's lying. No, I think she's telling the truth. Okay, kills child. Traumatic noises are heard, and she takes her daughter and runs. That has zero emotional impact to me. Yeah, it's very sad. Child died, but it's a fictional character. You gotta make me care about the fictional characters. Doesn't matter what age they are. So, to not have any build-up with them, it's like, this was the red wedding of Fire and Blood, in my opinion. And they screwed it up. Can you imagine if they screwed up the Red Wedding? So we don't have 3 odd seasons to grow to know these characters, to see their journey. We have a very limited amount of time. Fire and Blood has been rushed is my only complaint, and I didn't have that big a complaint. Like, an extra episode was all I really wanted for season 1, 2 max. But if we don't have this time to build up with them, you need that emotional hook. So it's just like to force a mother in the books to choose which of her 2 children, her 2 sons, will be killed. Putting that choice on her and say, if you don't, we'll kill both of them and your daughter. And God knows do what else to all of you. Alysanne is there in the books, bound and gagged, watching her grandchild's be beheaded in this gruesome manner. But really, the emotional moment comes from Queen Helena just saying she picks her younger son, Maelor, and is just like, blood leaning down to whisper in his ear, your mommy wants you dead, to toss him aside and instead execute the elder son. That is shocking, twisted, traumatic. It's to the point that Helena can't even look at her younger son anymore because she knows she chose to have him killed, and now she has to live with that knowledge, and her other son, the heir to the throne, has been killed. That it just works so much better, emotionally traumatizing, and quickly establishing why that's dramatic compared to, tell us which one of these is your son. I don't get the choice of removing Maelor from the series. I'm also pissed from what that means, because one of the things in Fire and Blood that was dying to know what the trigger for, what the actual event was, what happened, is Bitterbridge. Essentially involves Maelor. I'll keep it quiet just in case they do something similar later on, but to know what led to that madness, like, I would not be surprised if a random other White Walker appeared in that moment and just caused everyone to go crazy and kill everybody. I would not surprise me, because it is brutal. It is out of nowhere. It is just pure madness, and I wanted to see or know what exactly triggered it and what exactly happened. I was so looking forward. Looking forward is a bad thing to say because it is brutal. It's probably almost more brutal than Blood and Cheese. I wanted to know what was going to happen at Bitterbridge, and without Maelor, we can't do Bitterbridge. So I'm pissed for that alone. Overall, Blood and Cheese, complete letdown, watered down to the point I was just like, that's it. That's all. Again, all it had was the sound effects. I have no issue with Helena's dissociation. I'll get to that when I actually talk about the episode. But overall, extremely disappointed with the changes that were made for Blood and Cheese. Do I hate it because it's a change from the book? Maybe. But honestly, I just think I hate it because it was worse. And there was no build up. It was right between these two awkward moments where they're just fumbling around. Like, he kicks a dog, and honestly, kicking the dog was probably had more emotional impact for me than the actual Blood and Cheese moment. So they're just fumbling around and happen upon her, and they're kind of being idiots. They have no real plan. The cheese one, the rat catcher, he's like, I don't go up to the top floor. I can't really get you there. He doesn't know any more than Blood does. When he should have. He knows all Maegor's secret chambers and everything. So why can't he get to the upper one? Anywho. And then it's immediately followed by Alysanne in bed with Kristen Cole buddy. It's just like, it's so not serious. It's sandwiched between these two random moments for shock value, and then more shock value with no emotion or hurt to it that I got. If you liked it, I'm happy for you. It was better in the books, in my opinion. Following one criticism up with another criticism. So the episode, it starts off at the wall. My only complaint right there is, again, very rushed, but if there was an element of this part of the story that you could cut, I guess it's going to be the Winterfell section, just because they're not going to come in until, like, later. I would imagine season 3. But the wall also looked really cheap to me. I don't know. I think it was the lighting. It might just be how pale everyone's, like, no rosy cheeks, no seeing the breath as they're talking. It didn't feel cold. I was definitely not immersed. It felt like a stage play. Just the opening setting of it, not a fan. But we do get more lore with Winterfell in terms of, like, 1 in every 10 men going off to the wall, drawing those black stones as someone has been chosen for the Night Watch. I love that element. Who is it? Cregan Stark is talking with Jacaerys, and I did like their conversation, but what I loved more is Jacaerys is talking about how gotta unite the realm, stand with Queen Rhaenyra. A Stark obviously is not abandoning his word. That was never up for question. It's just how many men can he devote to send to her cause as they must arm and defend the wall. And like, you're defending against like snow and savages, like there's nothing there. It's like your ancestors, King Jaehaerys and the good Queen Alysanne, technically it was Queen Alysanne, came up to this wall, looked across it, and their dragons refused to fly past it. They disobeyed the order to fly past the wall. There is magic here. It was not built to defend against savages coming in at the woods. It is important that it is well manned. And that was so, I love that. Because, yeah, no, the dragons refusing to fly past the wall. Love it. Love that element. And the foreboding nature of the White Walkers coming. 100%. Love that moment. I almost wanted some kind of hint that he had developed a friendship with a secret Snow or something like that. But no one actually thought Mushroom was serious. For those who did not read the books, yeah, there's a rumor that he actually got married to a Snow up in Winterfell. Did not happen. Refuse to believe. But I would have thought it would have been funny if there was a conversation at a table somewhere. It's like, oh, she likes you. He's like, yeah, I'm engaged. We're good. I wish it was longer, but we would need a lot more episodes. And again, Winterfell was the part of the story that could have been cut. For time only. I would have loved to spend more time here. Dragonstone was zero complaints. The entire first section of this is really about grief and mothers, as Daemon is upset that Rhaenyra is acting as a mother and not a queen. She's off searching for something. She's in mourning. And Rhaenys is just like, she just got a raven saying her child is dead. She needs to see that it's true. I got my own raven telling me my daughter died in Essos, and I did not believe it until I seen her body. I could not properly mourn until I seen her. Rhaenyra does not have that. So Daemon just wants to attack, to wage the war, needs her to act as a queen, doesn't like her being out on her own. He's like, what if Aemon comes upon her? It's like, well, I pity Aemon. And oh, I love it. There's a fantastic moment where Daemon's just like, fly with me. That's an order. And she's just like, would if you were king. I love her. I love her so much. Her and the Red Queen. It's a delight. I love her. I can't wait for more. But no, the talk of grief and how it's hard to grieve without physically seeing somebody. And she's flying on her dragon, and she comes across some sailors who have pulled out a wing from the ocean. And Luke's cape is among it, and she just finds it, she holds it, she cries, and she grieves. And you have that expression of emotion. Even her dragon, feeling the bond between them as the dragon screams with her, it's very well done. Very well done. No complaints here. And for her to return, now once again ready to be a queen, and it's just like, I want Aemon's head. And it's like, say no more, you will get that, my queen. I didn't even mention Jace getting that raven, returning to Dragonstone, and he's learned his brother is dead, and he's trying so hard to hold it together, to look at Rhaenyra like his queen and give his report saying he secured the North. Cregan Stark's going to give 200 men. But then he just can't do it, and he breaks down, and his mother comes to him and holds him, and they cry together, they mourn together. 0 notes. Beautiful. Heartbreaking. Love it. We have the sea snake down on the pier, waiting for his ship to be up and running, but it could take, I can't remember how long they said, upwards of a year? Who knows? But one of the crewmen, Alan, who also pulled him out of the water. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Alan and his brother. Can't wait for that. He ends up giving him, was it a dagger? It gave him something that he had commissioned for Luke, and knowing that he lost the heir to Driftmark as well, they're all just grieving in different ways, and these little mementos come back around to hurt them again. All that, no complaints whatsoever. Aemon is flying back on Vhagar. I love the details in all the dragons. So, like, Vhagar's old, very old. You can see the holes in her wings, and like the scorpions almost shoot them down because they don't recognize them at first till they get closer. And so love that element. We get the wrongful king Aegon going to Helena's chambers looking for his son because, like, he'll be king after me, so I want him to be a part of the small council early. And she's like, what if he doesn't want to be king? And that element with Helena, I did like it. Helena and her dreams and knowing something is wrong. So she said she's scared of the rats. And I've heard people say, well, she knew this was happening. Why didn't she prevent blood and cheese? Because she doesn't know. Prophecies do not work that way. She's having dreams and visions. She knows something is going on. She knows something is wrong. She knows it will involve rats, not necessarily a rat catcher. And God, if she knew her son was going to be killed, yeah, she would have taken him and run. But anywho, bring him to the small council, and people are talking, and they're planning. They're still in their, like, elements of the War of Ravens, not full-on war yet, even though they know it's coming. Alicent is being a full-on hypocrite. Like, oh, my son lost an eye, so your son should give me an eye. Oh, my son killed somebody, killed your son? How's a letter gonna do? Oh, you were sleeping with someone outside of wedlock. God forbid, heavens, 7 hells, whatever. Faith of the Seventh says it's completely wrong, and she's off sleeping with Christian Cole now, too. And it's just hypocrites. Hate her. Good written character. Very well written character. But, God, she pisses me off. They're having their small council, and again, King Aemon's, the wrongful king, I do not support his claim, is saying, like, the Lannister should give his son a piggyback ride because he's not entertaining him properly. But then I'm like, okay, you're just being an ass. You're being a complete jerk, whatever. But then they put him on the Iron Throne, and he is sitting so comfortably. Like, he's joking around later on with his guards and friends and knights and whatever. And notice I don't think he, like, ever cuts himself. He's not burdened by the pressures of being on the throne. He's a terrible character and a victim of many generational traumas that led to be who he is. And he's done horrible, horrible things. But would he have been a terrible king if if he was the proper heir and his father had not chosen Rhaenyra, if he had not grown up to people whispering in his ear saying, you're the rightful king, you're the king's heir, but having his father repeatedly say, no, Rhaenyra's my heir, I choose her, I don't choose you, he's been neglected by his father, his mother doesn't know how to raise him and control him. When he's sitting on the Iron Throne, and that peasant comes up and he's saying, listen, they took half my sheep, my flock, I didn't have time to prepare for this, I don't know how I'll survive this. Aegon's first response is, oh, your flock should be made whole. We'll return your sheep. And then it's like, listen, we can't do that. We need food to feed the dragons. If it comes to war, we need this. We need to be able to give animals to this people to secure alliances here. It's like, well, can't we just give this one person back his sheep? And it's like, then others will come. Well, who's gonna know? Like, he doesn't care about the long-term effects. He cares about the problem in front of him. But he does listen to counsel in terms of, I'm sorry, we can't give you back your flock. He makes no attempt to also make that right. No way to support them. No talk about subsidizing grain or anything like that to get them through the oncoming winter. So he's not thinking long term. He's just thinking about the problems in front of him. But when the blacksmith comes up, it's like, listen, we're making scorpions. They're expensive. They take time. We need money. He's like, then you'll be paid in advance. And when Otto comes to whisper in his ear, probably to say, listen, we're not just going to hand out money to anyone who asks. He's like, we rely on the strength of the small folk to win this war, so yes, you will be paid, and I will know where my loyalties lie. It's not just going to be from dragons, it will be from you people as well. So he has some notion of what it would mean to be a good ruler, where to place value. I don't think he would mistreat the small folk. I just think he would probably put his own needs and wants ahead of everything. But if he had been raised differently, you could almost argue he would be a good king. Loyalty completely to Rhaenyra. But I don't hate him in this episode, and I have to keep going back to season 1. It's like, you assaulted a maid, I don't like you, but he's interesting. And he had been, like, pushed aside by his own father, so maybe he's taking a more active role with his own son, possibly. I mean, he is bringing him into the small council, so I hate it when they make me like characters I initially hate it. He's not a monster. He is a monster, but he's not a complete monster. The weasel with the foot fetish, was it Lara Strong, whatever, he's executing people, putting them in dungeon, experimenting, God knows what he's doing to anyone he deems not loyal, and that might be an explanation for why maybe the castle guard is a little light. There's less people going around during Blood and Cheese, because he's chosen the queen's guards and servants himself, so maybe. Alicent has a good moment, the same time like Rhaenyra is giving Luke a funeral, proper Targaryen funeral, with what is left being his cloak. She's also praying, lighting a candles, and saying the names, and she even says Lucerys Velarion's name. So I'm like, you're not a terrible person. I still hate you. You're a hypocrite, and I don't like you. She's a well-written character, and she's doing the best with what she can do, how she can manipulate people, how people have manipulated her, the position she's found herself in. It's very complicated situations all around. All hail Queen Rhaenyra. I praise that girl. She's my queen. I'm not ever cheering for Team Green. I'm just saying they have their moments. All right, meanwhile, Daemon, my favorite war criminal. He hears his queen say she wants Aemon's head. He says, say no more, goes down to King's Landing, up to the guards. He gave them those gold cloaks. No one's turning him in. He gives them some cash and just like, listen, we need to talk. I've talked to the White Worm. I know who I can get to get us down that castle. I want Aemon's head. So to know that they were going there for Aemon and not his Aegon's son, that was new information that worked very well. I love that element. The difference between the book and the show. I'll even take the fact that Blood and Cheese were completely incompetent and they were like a comedy. They were not comedic. They didn't have a very good plan whatsoever when they were going up through to look for Aemon. I like when they went through the room that he had just been in, which reminds me, he had quoted Jaehaerys saying, words are wind. Don't you quote him, okay? You do not deserve to speak the same words. You don't deserve to breathe the same air that the good king once breathed. I'm just saying. But anywho, they're going along the castle. I feel it would have been a better use of time to make us be endeared to Helena and her children instead. Maybe follow her on putting them to bed, their nightly routine. Because, like, everyone has a nightly routine. It's relatable. The kids are cute. I fell in love with Jaehaerys, like, within 2 seconds. So, like, give me a little bit more time as Helena's trying to put them to bed. Yeah, I probably would have loved them more. And you could have had a proper emotional moment with Blood and Cheese. But it is what it is. What happened, and they had asked Daemon what happens if we can't find Aemon. And it's presumed he says, well, a son for a son. So they find the heir to the throne and needs to bring his head back to Daemon. And Helena is completely dissociating. And what I enjoy about this episode was the different types of grief and trauma responses. So you had the Queen Who Never Was, Rhaenys. She's moved past her grief. Her children have passed along a long time ago. She's looking for the future. She's not moved. The pain is there. She remembers it. And she can understand how Rhaenyra is feeling. And Rhaenyra had that emotional response. She screamed out for the loss of her child. She let her grief out. She's ready to take revenge for it and continue on the war. Helena has a different response. In a life or death situation where her children's life are at stake, she more or less dissociates. There's no scream and begging. She offers a trade for her necklace. She knows it's not going to work. She gives up her son, takes her daughter, and runs. So, like, screaming and pleading would not have helped her, and that is not the character that Helena is. In the books, it makes more sense a little bit as we don't get much of her personality, but her personality has always been a little bit more suppressed between the dreams, between not being related to or being able to communicate with others as easily as other characters. It made sense for her to just take her daughter, hold her close, run away, and then when Alicent, who was sleeping with Cole again, she's just like, what happened? And she's still out of herself saying, they killed the boy. She doesn't even say they killed my son or they killed him. They killed the boy. If I had cared at all, that would have... my preference will always be a more outward display of emotion, but I would have at least respected the different way you respond to trauma and grief. Why would they get rid of Maelor? Why get rid of her other son? There's such a big difference between choose which of your sons will die and tell me which one of these children is your son. Why would you change that? I don't understand. I don't understand why they got rid of her younger son. It makes no sense to me. More than that, I've seen a bunch of people online, like there's a whole whack of people saying, oh, people just wanted it to be more violent. You wanted to see them take off the child's head? No, I have not. Well, I'm sure weird, gross people exist in this world. I'm sure some people are saying they wanted more violence, but most people, when I say they want it to be worse, more violence, it was worse in the book, they were looking for that choice, the choosing between the two sons. That was the emotional draw. Not the violence. I'm numb to violence, okay? I've been grown. My babysitter introduced me to horror. I was young enough I needed a babysitter. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed with the ending of that episode, but I'll recognize that was my only complaint. Between the dialogue, the weird characters of Blood and Cheese being not as competent as I would have expected for armed assassins. And without Maelor, that scene just doesn't work. I want Bitterbridge. If I don't get it, I'm going to be very sad. I don't know what else to say. I can say that there's a rumor, I don't know if it's been officially greenlit, but Aegon's Conquest is like whispering about, saying that they might adapt that. If you take out what was in that letter, the letter from Dorne, what are the chances they tell us what was in that letter? I'm going with no. I'm going to go with the actor's going to read the letter, fly off on a dragon, and we'll never know. I will die of happiness if we learn what was in that letter. All right, so that's all I got. I will check in when episode 2 comes out. I realize my complaint is mainly just Maelor not being included and that screwing up Blood and Cheese for me. But that was like a big moment, and I'm very disappointed in that getting screwed up. So fingers crossed that the rest of the series lives up to Fire and Blood, because I love Fire and Blood. All right, talk to you later. Bye.